Hello, hello. Welcome to my channel. My name is Emmie from Emmie Evolving. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for finding me. If this is not your first time, thank you for coming back. so, so. Found my microphone. I found my bed sheet. Haven't found my lights. I don't know where it is. So this is going to have to do, I promise I'll keep looking for it throughout the day because I actually do need those lights. I'm going to be coming live later on this evening to do a fire ceremony. If you're not aware, please do know I'm coming live later to do a fire ceremony. Today is the 1010 portal. Okay. It's a super important portal simply because this is the time where you become aware that a journey needs to take place within you. It's part of your spiritual journey. Okay. I'm doing a reading for Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Also for your cross watchers. Also for those of us who find ourselves on this channel without any Piscean anything. You're probably an empath. And you're probably needing messages from your soul. Okay. I asked the energies, what would this reading be about? And I got something very, very interesting. What I heard is that they want you to notice. I don't know who wants you to notice what, but someone, hey. So, guys, I totally read my native language fluently. Thank you, Victorious. Thank you. And when I see it in the comments, I'm like, hey, oh my gosh, I can't help it. I can't help my reaction. So, all right. Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus, also your cross watchers, also the empaths. I was told that they want you to notice. I asked, what's this reading going to be about? They want you to notice. And I think the theme of that like polarity is going to continue, where one comes from a place of love, the other comes from a place of like probably hating you. Okay. The thing about Pisceans and empaths is that you don't really get a mixed bag. Okay. You don't. They either really, really love you, sometimes to the point of obsession, or they really, really don't like you. None of that is your problem. None of that is your problem. Can we say that one more time? None of that is your problem. Okay. So this is probably going to carry on with that same polarity that we were experiencing previously. The one about they really love you, and then the other one about they really hate you. They want to see you fail. They want you to be hurting. They want misery. Okay. And really, before you start asking, like, why? What did I do to them? Well, you exist and you're amazing, and they can't stand that. They can't help but be a miserable person and want misery for everyone around them. You're not the only one they want miserable. Okay. Like, let's get very honest here. You are not the only one that they make miserable and want to keep miserable. That's the truth of it. Ooh, I just felt some energy spike. Like major increase. That's a lot of energy. I am having massive hot flashes. Hot flashes, if you get hot flashes, it can mean one of several things. Okay. So maybe you're having a hormonal thing going on, which that's okay. We all have hormones. With age, that stuff fluctuates. Or it could be a response to someone's like obsessive love for you, like someone really, really digging you. Or it could be You're an ascended type of energy, and someone is having some very malicious intentions towards you right now, and your energy is just burning it up. Whatever they're trying to do, it's burning it up. Okay. So I'm doing a fire ceremony later, right? Um I didn't add any black magic negation stuff. I'm wondering if I need to. I'm wondering if I need to, because I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. Let us get started. So I just took clumps of cards out and let's get started, okay? All right. Card number 34. In this world, not of this world. You're just a really, really special type of energy. And people, both polarities cannot help themselves. They're either going to really, really fixate over you because, you're like the epitome of what they would like to conquer, or they're really going to fixate over you because they just feel like they can't live without you. Both are unhealthy. Neither one is cute. Both are extremely unhealthy. We need to set our standards so that it's this thing of only choosing to allow healthy people to remain around us and have access to us. Aren't you done yet with people being ridiculously fixated and obsessed and just crazy with you? Aren't you done? Aren't you finished with these cycles of people thinking they can own you to either subjugate you or because they feel like you were created just for them? Like, I'm done with that. I don't know about you guys. To me, that's not a compliment. Obsessive behavior is not complimentary. It's not healthy. It's very toxic. It's a type of fixation that leads to an amplification of an already existing belief that they own you. You belong to them. That's not love. It's just not love. Like, the best way to love someone like me, if you're cross watching and whoever it is, like you consistently watch my videos because someone you're in love with, I remind you of them. The best way to love someone like me is to let them be as free as they possibly can, more free than they've ever felt in their entire life. Part of what really drew me to my husband and continues to keep me around is the fact that he never tells me what to do. He never forces or guilts me into anything. And if he doesn't like something, he'll just be like, well, you know what? You're going to decide what you're going to decide anyways. So, you make up your own mind. And I find that to be very, very beautiful, to be loved in such a way where I'm never made to feel as though I have to be something other than what I am in that moment. That's like so amazing to be loved in that way, where you've never had this feeling of, oh my God, I'm getting too heavy. Oh my God, this part of me is getting too big. Oh my God, this part of me is too small. They're going to look at other people and this and that. And, there's just something so beautiful about being celebrated, no matter the season you're in, no matter the phase, no matter the stage of your journey, all of that. Someone wants you to notice something. And I don't know if that's someone, I think for some of you, this person is getting to that point where they just like, they celebrate every part of you. Maybe they didn't know you were as complex as you actually are. Maybe you were just like too good at hiding the truth of your depth and gravity. Pisceans and empaths, we have a tendency to do that a little too much, where we hide the most powerful parts of us. Where is my cough? Here it is. We have a tendency to hide the most powerful parts of us simply because it's like, it's too much for people to, it's not too much. Part of what creates the complications that you live through is because you allow, out of your desire to keep peace, you allow wicked, weak people, the WWPs, the wicked, weak people, to think you're just as weak as they are internally. And really, you're not. Part of the reason why Pisceans, especially, are just so chill and go with the flow is because, on some level, to some degree, we know once we get sick of your shit, once we stop being patient with you, like, really, you're not going to stop me. I'm walking away. You don't exist. Who are you? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sir. Why do you keep following me? I don't know who you are. Oh, stop playing. You know me. I don't. I actually don't. I never knew you. I never knew you. I don't want to get to know you. You need to leave me alone now. That's Piscean logic. That's Piscean energy. I gave you so much. Now I have nothing left to give, and that door is closed. And see, some people are like, oh, like a Scorpio door slam. No, it's not a tantrum. I'm not talking shit about Scorpios. I'm saying it's not a tantrum. With everything you do that hurts our feelings, that door slowly closes just a little bit more. Just a little bit more, just a little bit more, until it's finally closed. And what you notice is not the door closing, it's the deadbolt being engaged. That's it. You're done. That's it. There's no negotiating that. No, there's no coming back from that. That's just it. There was no slamming of the door. It was slowly and gracefully shut. And the only thing you noticed was the deadbolt. Not our problem anymore. It's just not, Pisceans, empaths. There are billions of people in this world. Why do you keep trying to nurture the one that doesn't want your nurturing? When they make you feel like you're not wanted, even when they don't say it, when they make you feel as though you're not wanted, believe them. Believe them. And when they come back around like, no, that wasn't the case. Now you have to show me. I don't want to hear it. I want to see it. I want to feel it. Now you got to earn it. What I gave to you freely from the start that you didn't appreciate until you realized the door was closed and I was preparing to deadbolt it shut. Now you got to really work for it and earn it from me. I gave that to you freely and you didn't appreciate it. You didn't treasure it. You saw no value in it because you got it so easily from me. Not again. You're not getting that again. They want you to notice. I'm wondering if for some, the person wanting and needing you to notice is a person who really did not realize the gravity of what you are to them. Now, I do want to clarify, not all Pisceans operate at this depth. Not all. Okay? Not all. Those of you Pisceans who regularly come and join me and share space with me, you probably resonate because you are at that depth and you're done feeling alone, being that deep. And that's why you consistently come around. There's varying degrees of intensity for every zodiac sign, every single one, every single zodiac sign. There are varying degrees to the members of that group, varying degrees of intensity, varying degrees of toxicity, just varying degrees. If what you are coveting is a Piscean with a depth that you've never experienced with other people, even other water signs, you fucked up letting them go. You really did. You really, really did. And I hate to be so blunt. No, I don't. That's a lie. I don't hate being blunt. I'm just blunt. I'm just blunt. And that's just kind of how it is. I'm blunt. I'm not trying to be hurtful with my bluntness, but I'm just blunt. I don't got time for games. And, part of what's happened is people have tried so hard to keep you stuck in this loop of expectable, not predictable expected behaviors. If I do this, you're going to do that, and then I can do this, and then that's negated. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. You don't withhold yourself from me, make me feel unwanted, and then when I feel broken and I'm not going to chase you, you choose to come back like, oh no, it was a misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was not a misunderstanding. Pisceans and empaths, please be honest with yourself. Your intuition is so highly developed, you do not misunderstand. Yes, when our feelings get hurt and we don't hear directly from the person what's going on, we can make a story in our head of why they rejected us, even though maybe they didn't actually reject us. But our intuition is not the same as the story we're telling ourselves. Your intuition is accurate. You know exactly what they did. You know what they did. You know what they're trying right now. You know. Stop playing yourself, telling me, no, I could be wrong. No, you're not. I found the Pisceans and empaths who have those conversations in their head of like, am I making this up? You're probably one of the most accurate mofos out there. Mm-hmm. The ones who don't want to believe their level of intuition is that profound, you're probably one of the most profound mofos out there. Just there. I think this is my brother's remote. Oh, there, it turned on. Sometimes my kids play with all the remotes. I was wondering if that was his remote to his AC. Someone feels badly. Someone feels very badly. They should. They hurt your feelings a lot. They feel so badly. This is someone who's in love with you still. Someone is in love with you still. They feel really, really bad that they didn't understand. I feel like this is someone who plays games with people a lot, who is accustomed to getting their way, who is accustomed to just being wanted to that degree and hounded. I feel like they've met their match with you. Now they finally see, like, oh shit. Oh. Oh well. Oh well. I'm not for games. Like, I don't know if you guys are for games. I'm not. Like, if I'm going to put myself out there for friendship, for relationships, for business, and you fuck that up, I'm not just burning the bridge. I'm burning the entire forest as far as the eye can see, so you can't rebuild another bridge. And yes, that's a trauma response. It is. But here's the thing. When you've lived an entire life of so much trauma, you need to stop thinking other people won't traumatize you. When you feel like that and you become overprotective of yourself and your space, that's for a reason. That's for a reason. Stop being afraid of the forest burning. Before humans even existed, there were forest fires. It's part of nature's way of ensuring the ground is clear, new things can grow. Oh my God, but Emmie, that's so destructive. Yeah. Everything that takes you to another level of being is destructive in some way. It requires the death and destruction of the current in order for the new to be allowed to take its place. That's not true. Okay, you're birthed into this world. That wasn't destructive. You didn't have to destroy your home in order to enter this world. You know, birth is very violent, right? There's not some magical fairy door that's unlocked and opened and suddenly the child teleports into this world. It involves a lot of pain, a lot of pressure, a lot of pushing. It involves a lot of that. There's a lot of bleeding and loss and all of these things. No, Emmie, there's C-sections. Those aren't like that. I don't know, have you had a child? Have you had a C-section? I haven't had a C-section. I've birthed all of my children vaginally with no medication. So when I tell you it's painful, it is. Okay. And when I tell you I would rather take that type of pain than a C-section, that should tell you something. C-sections are the most violent way to enter this world. You're being cut out of your mother's safe womb. Birth is violent. It is destructive. Every single time you experience another layer, level of birthing, rebirthing, it requires reconstruction. It requires for the old to be allowed to just go so that you can construct something in its place. You have to allow this process. Oh, Lord. Card number 13, power of attraction. I'm telling you, someone is just really in love with you. In the world, not of this world. They're just like, nothing compares to you. You know, I mean, yeah. They just really feel like, I don't know. I don't know. In some cultures, going back to the birthing thing, in some cultures, based on the way the woman delivers the baby, um, it's not uncommon at some point in their history where the woman births the child in the field, puts the baby in some sort of tribal sling, and goes back to doing what they were doing. Yeah. C-section, you need several weeks to make sure that that doesn't open back up. That's a major surgery. Major surgery. Now, I'm not trying to bash women who've had C-sections. I'm saying you're strong on a whole nother level. You're strong on a whole nother level. You know, I have so many friends who have had this whole birth story in their head. And that's what they wanted, like a natural birth and water and all of this really beautiful romantic stuff. And things happen. And next thing you know, they had to have a C-section and they feel very, very, you know, very, very destroyed. They feel like they failed. You did not fail. It takes a very strong person to recover from a C-section. It just does. It takes a very strong person. That's not to say women who give birth vaginally are not strong people. That's to say they are two very different experiences. And it takes a strong person to get through each one. Each one destroys you in a different way, in a very different way. And no matter which way your journey, you know, destroys you, you're going to get through it. You have no other choice. To think that, oh no, I'm just going to be, no, you're not. There's no other choice. Once labor starts, you have no other choice. One way or another, baby's coming out. One way or another, that baby is coming out. And you're not going to stop that. Whether you push or you don't, you're not going to stop that. one of the things that I learned, one of the things that I noticed after several children with zero medical, medicinal interventions. So there's different stations that the baby is in. It's not just the dilation of the cervix. When the baby is at like +3 station, it's all the way up. Head's nowhere near the birth canal. That's all the way up. As the baby begins to engage into the actual canal, it begins to count down station +3 and then +2, +1, 0 station. We about to have a baby. We about to have a baby. -1, station -2, -3. Baby's head is basically out. It's basically out. Like baby's crowned. That's what you see. Baby is crowned. When we get to these different stations, you're not stopping this. You're just not. Once you hit the +2, +1, there's a ring of fire. It hurts like no other and it burns. My God, that burning. And I always knew exactly which station I was at because I don't care what my cervix is doing. Once I feel that, I don't give a shit who's in the room. I don't give a shit what the medical professionals are saying. Someone better get between my legs. I'm pushing this baby out. Yeah, for one of my kids, they couldn't find the doctor. He was a dick. He said I was stuck at 4 centimeters dilated. It was only a few hours. Like I could have my water broken for 24, 36 hours and still be good. Stop checking me if you're worried about infection. And after maybe, I want to say 3 or 4 hours being stuck at 4 centimeters, baby's not in distress or anything. He comes into the room and he slams a bag of Pitocin onto the tray beside my bed. He says, listen, I'm the doctor. You're the patient. If you don't progress in 30 minutes, no, in an hour, I'm going to be back in 60 minutes. We're starting you on Pitocin. No, you listen. I'm the patient. I have the option of removing you from my team. So you listen. I didn't say shit to him. He walked out of the room feeling smug. Oh, within like 20, 30 minutes, full dilation. I didn't want him in the room. Full dilation. And they were tripping because they couldn't find him. And they were calling him and calling him and calling him. And he wasn't answering. And ooh-wee, babies had engaged. +1 station, I could feel it entering into 0 station. I told the nurse, hey, listen, you're trained. You got this. Can you go between my legs and catch this baby? Don't push, mommy. Don't push. Doctor's coming. No, we got this. Go between my legs. Don't drop my baby. And she's telling my husband, who's right beside me, tell her not to push. And he's like, oh, I'm pretty sure she's going to push. Someone better catch the baby. Oh, and I pushed. When you feel the pain, certain types of sensations, there's no other option but to flow with it. For the mamas who have been in completely natural labor and you felt that, tell me there's no other option. Did you have any other options? It was this thing of like, whenever I push, the pain goes away. It's just pressure. It's not pain anymore. It's just pressure. The more you try and sedate, interfere with, medicate, subdue what your process is, the more you prolong the process. No matter what, that baby's coming out. Especially if the water's been broken. No matter what. When your water of life, when that amniotic sac that you exist within while you live a very energetically, spiritually sheltered life, when that breaks, no matter what, you're going to be reborn. There is no other option. None. There is no other option. So stop allowing yourself to believe there are other options than your growth. No matter how much it hurts, you're going to be born. You're going to be reborn. The old you needs to be allowed to leave and the new you to come forward. Did you know that even if you have another child already, every child after that, a new mother is born? That you are not the same mother with one child as you are with two children, as you are with three children, four children, five children, six children, seven children. You get the point. You are not the same mother with each child that you birth, that you add to your family. You are a different person, a different mother. So why do you expect to be the same person as you go through these spiritual rebirthings? Now, if this person who's in love with you wants to have any sort of chance at reconnecting, they better have gone through a birthing process as well. Anything short of a new person with that same face, I don't want it. How about you? Because if they're going to come back as the same person, it's going to be the same thing. It's just going to be the same thing. And there's no point. And maybe what they want you to notice is that they're different. They see life differently. Maybe they now understand what they put you through and yada, yada, yada. That doesn't mean you need to give someone another chance romantically or through friendship. But you might need to consider at least having a conversation. Maybe a conversation needs to take place and that's it. Just a conversation. You're not going to know until you allow yourself to be fully present, to witness and discern for yourself what this is. You come from a legacy of light. Whoever this was, they approached you when you were still in your child state, when you were in the childhood, the infancy of your soul. And I think they've been watching you for some time, whoever this is. Guys, I'm done talking about the malicious person. It's just like they're fucking weak. Double WP. They're a WWP. Wicked weak person. Fuck them. Who cares? There's plenty of those in the world. Fuck that shit. Anyways, redirecting back to what this is. Like this person saw you and maybe you were in the process of rebirthing again. And you seemed a lot, I guess, I don't know, weaker, a lot more vulnerable. Maybe they misunderstood that vulnerability and they thought that, they made assumptions and they didn't calculate properly. And now they're seeing you in the adulthood of your life, the adulthood of your soul, your development. And they're just looking at you, hoping that you'll see them. Just hoping that you'll see that they've changed too. Okay, let's see. Card number 27, receiving. Allowing yourself to receive the truth of who you're becoming, who you've walked away from, in regards to yourself. Okay. Like, did you walk away from a version of yourself that just really allowed for others to be hurtful and harmful? And do they even know what change takes? Because I do. Well, what change takes for you is not always the type of changes they need to change themselves. You know what I mean? Like, I can know plenty about me, but that doesn't mean I know exactly what you need. Because unless you're me, even if you are an actual identical twin to me, we're going to have different things. We're going to need different types of things to change us. If you look at families with multiple children, all of these children are present at the same time to see the same exact traumatic event. But each child will receive, experience, process, and be affected by that same exact event differently than their sibling who was standing right beside them. We have people who are raised in the same family environment, who ate the same foods, have the same parents, have the same biology, yet one is very, very giving and the other one is a narcissist. What's right for you, what's changed for you is not always true for the other person. You know what I mean? It's not always true for the other person. And we have to really exit this whole like, well, I did it, you need to as well, or I know what it takes, or and I'm not directly addressing you, Rainbow Flames. I see comments and it starts this process of thinking. So it's never actually like trying to tell someone their thoughts are wrong. It's just me continuing and thinking out loud. But it's this thing of like, I can deal with a lot. Like a lot. I have the ability to compartmentalize on such a profound scale. And a lot of the people that I come across can't do that. So does that mean you need to experience the depth of destruction that I personally would need to go through in order for me to be affected enough for change? No, you don't. You have your own set of things you need to experience. You have your own threshold. You have your own this and your own that. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind. Try your best to consciously choose to exit out of this like, well, I've changed, I've grown, I've this, and this. Because when you make those types of statements, it's usually based on your comparison to someone else. That's the problem, is the comparison to someone else who's probably on a very different trajectory than you. That's why it's important to no longer involve other people, even though other people might be involved in the actual event that you experience. Don't involve them in your perception of your personal evolution. Okay? Like, things have happened to me, and some of the things have affected me, some of them not so much, and I just see myself growing through these things. I've seen people be brought into my life to cause more drama, more struggle, and I just see that as my higher self gifting me an opportunity to further expand, ripen, deepen, heighten my understanding of myself and my journey. That's a healthier way to see things versus like, and I hate to make this an example, but do they even know? You know what I mean? And just because it's there on the screen. Do they even know? It's none of my business what someone knows or doesn't know. What is absolutely my business is what I do with what I've experienced. Do I know? Do I understand? Have I allowed that to grow me to the degree that it's intended to grow me? Because oftentimes when we're so focused on like, well, I did this, what about you? Do you know how much you've grown? Did you grow all the way? Or was it just like, well, I ripped off my bandage, but in reality, you just lifted the corner. The bandage is still there. You just lifted the corner and you're like, you need to rip off your bandage. No, you haven't ripped off the whole bandage. See what I'm saying? If you focus more on yourself, you then begin to become very clear in regards to where you are in that bandage removal. Okay? Because let's face it, wounds heal better when they're exposed to air and allowed to dry out. They just do. That was one of the most profound knowings my mother gifted me in this life. Because, she was a nurse for her whole life. And growing up, she just wouldn't buy Band-Aids. She wouldn't buy bandages, and I wanted the ones with like My Little Pony or like G.I. Joe, and she'd never get them. And finally one day I had a full-on tantrum, and then she told me that like it heals better when it's not covered. Stop being maarte. You're just so maarte. I'm like, this is dramatic. You're just so dramatic. That hurt my feelings. She used to call me dramatic. Okay. The two things she always called me was Maarte and bruja. Dramatic ass witch. That's right. Now you want to know why I'm like the way I am? Because I'm a dramatic witch. Card number 20, softly, softly, the tender touch. So you're needing to have these conversations within yourself, right? And I think the conversations you need to have within yourself have more to do with like setting you up for the connectivity that's, I guess, trying to take place. There's a connectivity trying to take place. It might just be energetic for most people. And then for some, it might be full on. It might be like full on interactions in real life, yada, yada. Card number 44, visions of life beyond death. Okay. Okay. So let me just reframe everything in my mind. So we're not talking about the malicious person anymore because they're just going to be malicious no matter what. Avoid them at all costs. Take legal action if necessary. Fuck those people. They don't need any more access to you. Don't think about them anymore. So then that leaves us with this other option, which is someone who's like so massively deeply in love with you, right? So card number 44, and then we have card 13. 1 plus 3 is 4, and this is 44. 4 is the number of self. One person had been fractionated for some time, living in a singular space of mind. The other person was living at the point of 3, which is a solid foundation from which to launch your growth, to build, right? That's the bedrock. This is a coming back together in order for you to realize that you guys are the number 44, two equals facing each other, having visions of life beyond the death that occurred at the point of separation. So what does this mean? What are the rest of the cards? Let me just see. Because this is my first time looking at the rest of the cards. All right. So we have card number 29, seeing the true you. They're seeing truly at this point, for some of you, this is a general reading, so it might not apply to all. They're seeing that there's so much depth to you. There's a complexity that they crave and can't find in someone else. And it's almost like you're that dark water, because the deeper the water, the darker it looks, right? And that water is almost black. So they're seeing how deep you actually are, and they're there naked in their truth, finally realizing like what you actually mean. I'm not trying to romanticize things in hopes that you'll get back with them or give them another chance. These are just things that I guess we need to know at this point, because your feelings have been so hurt that it's very much affected your perception of what's actually going on. They are naked in their truth. Okay. I'm a total shit talker sometimes. Okay. I'm not in denial of that. Sometimes I'm just a total shit talker. And Michael says I have to say it out loud. I don't really want to. I don't really want to. All right. I was just talking shit. Just, it's fine. Just, okay. Okay. That fiery red hair. Okay. There's something to that about the fiery red hair. This like very passionate thinking, just, I don't know. This is saying that they're in the adulthood of their soul journey as well. They're no longer in that childhood. Part of that journey into the adulthood is recognizing that you are not of this world. You're in it, but you're not of it. You're something so different than the average person. And they're a passionate thinker just like you, and they're just staring into the reflection that's being gifted to them as you show how deep you actually are. Like they're being gifted with a different perception. You're the fluid, they're the structure. They're a very structured person. I would say they're probably a very controlled, very structured, very meticulous individual. And you're over here just water, and they're not afraid to drown at this point. They're just focused on you. Can we just redo this whole reading? I just want to redo the whole reading. Hold on. Let me look at the other cards to see what the fuck I got myself into. I feel like I got bamboozled into this reading. I just feel like I got bamboozled. Ooh, I heard from somewhere, I forgot where, but it said that people with red hair are souls that got a connection to Mars. I love Martians. Totally fixated by red. Shit. I feel like I just got led into that comment. Damn it. All right, let me just look at the rest of the cards because, like I said, I want to know what the hell this is. I want to see how. Okay, let me just put these cards right here. Just put them right there. All right, what do you feel? What do you feel? I feel very uncomfortable. If we're gonna be honest, that's what I feel. Discomfort. What do you feel? What do you feel? Are you comparing two different things that are not the same? I feel like whoever this is, they're comparing someone else to you, and this someone else is nothing like you. Like nothing like you. They might try really, really hard to be like you, but they're just not. They're just not. They're not. And it's something that's becoming like uncomfortably clear to this individual. Just uncomfortably clear. The perfection of your life. I think this person loves seeing how you're just like messy in a sexy way. um I don't know where this reading is going. Card number 25, release a dark wound, let love live. It's almost like this request to please let go of the parts that rotted, let go of the parts that became decayed because of the injury that they caused. So part of this reminds me of like the ocean, and nothing is ever really wasted. When something dies in the ocean, especially the deep water, all those other fish feed on it. And it's not that you need to allow things to feed on yourself, it's that you need to understand that entire depth is you. The things feeding on the parts of you that have died away are nothing more than other aspects of you, of who you are. These different aspects of you that live in the shadows, in the depths. You're about to change dramatically. Dramatically. You're about to change. And part of that requires you feeding these other parts of you that maybe you haven't come into contact yet. Oh my God. I'm having a lot of anxiety. I'm about to have a panic attack. I'm sorry, guys. Two options: calm myself down, like give me a moment to calm myself down, or I have to end the live stream. So if you just give me one moment, I can finish the reading. Just card number 5, follow your own rhythm. Just allowing yourself to flow through your journey however you're meant to flow through your journey, knowing that eventually every river and stream, everything, it leads back to the ocean. And you're their ocean. You are their deep water. You are their ocean. Everything eventually leads back to you. So, card number 19, dream a beautiful dream. You're at the epicenter of all of this. You're at the very center of everything it is that's happening in your life. The connections, the lack of connections, the struggles that people have in letting you go. All of that just basically comes back to you. How do you forget that an ocean exists once you've swam in the water? If you've lived a life where you're landlocked, how do you forget the ocean once you've come across it? You can't. You'll never forget it. You'll never forget what it felt like swimming through that ocean. Even if it was just for a moment, you'll never forget that. And I think that's what this person is going through, where this is someone you had a past life with. This is someone who there have been many lifetimes that this cycle has cycled through. And it's, I guess, with each lifetime, it becomes harder and harder to deny what is known by the soul. And I mean, does that mean that you have to be in a romantic connection with somebody? No, it doesn't mean anything. It means the definition you give it. The moment you begin defining things, it becomes a more human thing. It becomes a more human experience, and the definition you give it is what will determine what that experience is. So I was doing years ago, I was like 18 or 19. I was working security, and for some reason, they put little ass me in the traffic position. I was supposed to be guiding traffic, and so I'm standing in the middle of the intersection, and I'm the one telling people to come. I'm telling who to stop, and all of that. And my coworker got on the radio because he was there too, and he was telling me something on the radio. So I was staring at him. And then next thing you know, he tells me that guy is trying to get through. It's a separate thing. The guy is trying to get through in his van. And so I look over, and finally it's their turn to go. And so I stepped out of the way, and it was their turn to go. And as he drove past me, he yelled that I was a CUNT. And I don't know about y'all, but English is not my first language. And I don't really hang around at that time. I didn't really hang around anyone that wasn't hella Bay Area. So we have our own vernacular in the Bay Area, in the San Francisco Bay Area. We don't use that word. And I was just like, someone's having a bad day. As a matter of fact, I'd never heard that word. And then my coworker gets on the radio, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, like I was just like in a rush or something. I don't know." And he's like, "Did he call you what I think he called you?" And I was like, "Oh, he called me." And I said the whole word on the radio, and then I got in trouble. I don't know what that word is. I don't know what that word is. So next thing you know, the entirety of the security team came out because I was the baby of the group. I was like literally the smallest, the only female. And they all came out, and they were like, "We gonna protect her. We ride or die together." And I'm like, why is everyone out here? Why is everyone all upset? And then someone was like, "Oh, you don't know that word?" And I was like, "No." And I guess it's supposed to be like the most offensive word ever. Like, what does it, hold on, let me. A woman's genitals, a vagina. What is so offensive about, what is offensive about that? I still to this day don't understand. Like, misogynistic much? What is wrong with a woman's vagina? I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's just a very beautiful thing that the most sacred parts of it are contained, housed within the body and protected like some divine secret. What is so offensive about quite possibly the most sacred part of a woman? The way you define the experience is the way you're going to experience it. Had I been raised thinking that that was like the worst thing ever, and it might be the programming I received, because like, you know how Americans, like if you drop something, you'll say like, oh shit. My mom would yell, puke. I puke. And if y'all don't know, that puke is vagina. Yeah, it means vagina. So that's what I grew up with. Like hearing, we'd be at the grocery store, something happens, and she'll be like, I puke. And that's like vagina. That's not offensive to me. Like, I have one. And the way you define is the way you will experience. Okay? It's the way you'll experience things. It's the way you experience things. If you shift the definition into something that is more in alignment with you and who you are and your experiences, then oftentimes it'll be something much more beneficial for you. It'll be a type of growth that will help you to further grow. It'll help you to further grow. Okay? So y'all, if you got to say some bad words, just yell puke. Make my mama proud. And then if I yell puke, she goes, ay bastos. That's so disrespectful. But you just yelled it too. Yeah. So when we're in the store, if she says puke, I yell vagina. And then she gets real mad. I'm like, it's the same thing. Why are you mad? Then she tells me, just let me do my thing. I don't know. Puke, vagina, who cares? So, again, another message to flow, allowing yourself to flow. Just flow as beautifully as you possibly can, releasing that wound that was inflicted, releasing your ownership of the toxic and the disharmonious, the misaligned. Just release it. Just open your hand. Whatever is meant to stay will stay. It will not fall out. Needing to do shadow work, because there's a lot of things hidden in the depths. Okay. There's just a lot of things that have been hidden from you by you. It's not someone else hiding it. It's you hiding it from yourself. And if you want to grow, you can't just grow up. You have to grow upwards, downwards, and expand. The trees that grow the tallest, the biggest, often have the most extensive root system. Become familiar with your roots. Where is your pain rooted? What soils? Why do those roots exist? Are they intertwined with toxic weeds? Have those roots become invasive and now it's uprooting the foundation of your home? Just those things where it's like, do you know who you are? Do you know why you respond to life in the way you do? It's just this need. And oh my God, I don't know why this reading is so difficult. So Michael is giving another message, and this message is about there were 2 seeds planted in the ground. One of the seeds became a seedling and grew. The other seed did not. The seed that did not grow was not a waste because it gave of itself to nourish the seedling. It was absorbed by the seedling and added to the seedling becoming an actual tree. So for some, part of what happened during this period of separation is a person completely just decayed. One of the two just completely decayed. And as a part of their decay, there was a richness that was gifted to the other one. The one that's meant to grow into this big tree. It doesn't matter what the size of the seed was. All that matters is the tree gets all of the components that it needs to continue growing. And for some pairings, one of the seeds decided to give of itself and its essence out of just pure love for your growth. For your growth. So maybe it's time to stop being bitter, stop being hurt, that there's only one tree instead of two. Like, this concept of where are you? You're supposed to be right beside me. I mean, I think they're wherever they're supposed to be. Either silently and invisibly at your roots, adding to your growth, or maybe they were planted somewhere else. The tree never really questions why it's planted where it is. It just waits for the components that are necessary for growth, and then it grows. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't relocate itself. It just grows unapologetically. Have you seen those trees whose root systems have become so mature that they've become superficial in certain areas and have displaced concrete? Be that much into your growth that it doesn't matter what's in your way. That is not going to be a war, but you will grow and nothing will stop you. I'm wondering if we need to recognize that a lot of the connections that failed, that appeared to have failed throughout your life, are really people who, as souls, volunteered to become components of your soil. Do you know what soil is? The richest of soils are basically fully decayed plant and animal matter. Life transmuted and transformed. There is richness in the decay, not absence, not rejection, not abandonment. It's a transmutation in order to harvest the richness and to further fuel you. So long as you're so overly concerned about someone's presence or absence, you won't have enough to be able to properly transmute and reintegrate all of these components of your life, all these experiences, all these people who have come and gone. We have to make decisions. We have to choose our growth. It has nothing to do with a person's presence or absence. It has nothing to do with their growth or lack thereof. It has everything to do with what you choose to do in that soil. The parts of you that are buried, the parts of you contained within shadow. There's this beautiful quote, something along the lines of, they buried us not knowing we were seeds. Ooh, let me read you my most favorite poem. This is like my most favorite poem. It's by Pablo Neruda. Oh. I do not love you as if you were salt rose or topaz, or the arrow of carnations the fire shoots off. I love you as certain dark things are to be loved in secret between the shadow and the soul. I love you as a plant that never blooms but carries in itself the light of hidden flowers. Thanks to your love, a certain solid fragrance, risen from the earth, lives darkly in my body. I love you without knowing how or when or from where. I love you straightforwardly, without complexities or pride. So I love you because I know no other way. That's like my most favorite poem ever. Neruda. Something about poetry. If life were the words that were written, living would be the poetry made of those words. I love when Michael gets all poetic. Times where I don't want to listen, or I start to become very rebellious to what he's trying to say. He speaks to me with poetry. He said that. Life are the words that were written. Living is the poetry made of those words. He knows me. So card number 24, innocence. It's okay if you've never experienced this part of your life before. It's okay if you don't have enough life experience to be able to properly plan and plot this part of your life. You're not a construction zone. Okay? You don't need to properly plan and put plot lines and put like, you know, all of that stuff they do when they build houses. You don't need to do that. You just don't. You can allow yourself to just be present and live and learn from these experiences and have your book of life play out the way it should. You're a living manual. You have to first live the event in order for the part of the manual that tells you how to, you know, properly handle that type of event to be written. You're a living manual. Ancestral magic, allowing more of that old energy, the energy of your ancestors to come forward and empower you through very difficult processes. I don't know why Michael has told me to share this. My grandmother was still alive when I was a child. I actually had a relationship with her. She played with me often. She used to put Vicks in my eyes and laugh. That's not what he's telling me to share. So by the time, you know, it was like near the end part of her life, I distinctly remember an ice blue halo around her eyes. And then there was just like a weird color around the pupils. And they used to say that, oh, she has cataracts and yada, yada, yada. But it was like literally ice blue on the outer perimeter of her eyes and then just some weird color. But there's a cloudiness, so you can't see the color clearly. And it wasn't until many, many years after she passed and I was already an adult and I was speaking to some of my older cousins, like way older, way older. And then one of my older cousins was like, yeah, no, she had violet colored eyes. And it's this thing of like, when you allow so much of the toxicity of life to become deposited within you, you don't really have the ability to control where those deposits will go. Dependent on what it is, your body will know exactly where to store it. Too much calcium, what's it called, hypercalcemia, it could develop kidney stones. Too much of this could become that, and too much of that can become that, and too much of that can become that. And when you allow the traumas of life to become deposited within your field instead of processed, properly digested, and excreted, what if it gets deposited in your eyes? What if it obscures your ability to see? What if your refusal to process the traumas of your life are the very things that are obscuring your vision? What if? A lot of what ifs. A lot of very needed realizations. Yeah, I think a blue ring around the outer perimeter of the eye is indicative of a cataract. I'm pretty sure of it. I think it's a cataract. But it was more of like no one after a certain point was able to see clearly what her eyes were anymore. It took like she is the second oldest of all the cousins. The second oldest. So she definitely was old enough to be able to see our great grandmother's eyes before age kind of had its effect. And it's this thing of like people think you get wiser with age, but sometimes you just become more blind. Let that sink in. If you don't do the work to process your life, your traumas, you don't get wiser with age. You just become more blind. Allow yourself to process. Allow yourself to properly integrate the lessons before you excrete the unnecessary. Okay? It's time to allow yourself to be rejuvenated through this process. Oftentimes, what happens is we go through this process, and instead of allowing rejuvenation, we become depleted because it's difficult to see all of these things that we end up seeing about ourselves, right? So, in order to become rejuvenated, you have to allow yourself to receive. Allow yourself to receive. The moment you begin allowing yourself to receive what is rightfully yours, the learning, the growing, you'll begin to allow more rejuvenation. That tension that you have because someone did this and someone did that and someone said this and that and yada, yada, yada. Someone's not here. Someone's over there and they need to be here. And, and someone's here and I don't want them here. And you actually can control your life much more than you allow yourself to. But in order to control it to that degree, you have to be willing to allow society to see you in whatever way they choose to see you. I control my life. I really, really control my life at this point. Like, I don't experience things I don't want to experience. No. I don't care what your intention is. I'm going to live my life. If I determine that you are toxic to me, you don't get to be a part of my life. Do you know how much flack I get for that? Like, why do you got to be like that? Why are you so mean? Why can't you just learn to forgive people? Who said that I'm holding a grudge? Who said I was holding a grudge? The reality is, if I find you to be toxic, I will accept you as you are. I will not hold a grudge. When I determine you are toxic and I've received your toxic behaviors, it makes sense to me. I can now let it go right along with you in my life. When someone is a narcissist and they do narcissistic things to me and I recognize, oh, okay, so they're a narcissist. That's what they do. It's just what they do. It's not anything I did. Yeah, I just need to stay away from them, because that's what narcissists do. Let that sink in. Like, do you need to forgive someone? No, you just need to process and move forward. That whole forgiveness program is part of the whole I need closure program, which is nothing but a low key, very cloaked, covert way to keep you intertwined and tangled with toxicity. I don't need none of that. I don't. In times where I do need that for me to better understand myself and my journey, my life will bring that to me. And the moment I realize what this is, I'm done with it. I walk away from it. It is what it is. I don't need to change you. I don't need to help you to understand what you did wrong and any of that. If you want to come to me and ask me like, hey, did I do something? That's different. Let's conversate. But if you expect me to be coming up to you like, hey, you did this, this, and this, and you're going to need to see that no, it's not my place to mother you. Not in that way. No. As a matter of fact, I tend to not even be that type of mother. Like if my kid wants to be, rude to me or whatever, I'll just, okay, I'm going to walk away. I didn't like that. And then later on, they'll come to me like, Mom, I'm sorry that I said that to you. I'm sorry that I said it in that way. That's fine. It upset me and I didn't want to be hurtful back. I'm glad you recognize the effect that it had on me. Thank you for apologizing. But I also recognize I irritated you. I asked for too much. I was too much in your space. So it's this thing of, if you're going to recognize what you did, I'm going to also need to recognize what I did to co-create that, because we're both equally powerful. No, it's not your fault. I pushed too much. I pushed too hard. I expected too much. And you tried to tell me in a roundabout way that it was too much and I wasn't paying attention. That's maturity. That's growth. It's not that you need to say sorry. You don't need to say sorry if you're not sorry, because I don't need any more lies. Right? So that's what my kids know. If you're not sorry, don't say sorry. Because you already injured someone. Why add lies to it? Instead, take the time to process. Recognize the decisions you made and the effects of those decisions. Communicate. Have a conversation. Communicate. Communication is so important. We're all going through this metamorphosis, and it's taking us to higher levels of dimensional consciousness. Consciousness is infinite. Our awareness of this infinite consciousness by way of our limited, flawed human mind is what is finite. You have to live through things to be able to understand things. Basic people can simply be told. Okay? If you're not a basic or average person, which there's nothing wrong with that, if you are not a basic or average person, there is a high likelihood you have to go through the lesson in order to learn. I had someone ask me years ago, like, why do you always have to do it the hardest way? I believe it was my husband. Why do you always have to pick the hardest way to do things? Motherfucker. You assume I knew there was other options. I didn't know there were other options. Ain't nobody told me there were other options. I picked the only way I knew, which was the hardest way. Don't be like that. These are cycles. That's it. They're just cycles. You go through cycles to learn. And some people will tell you like, well, no, I don't need to go through that again because I already learned. But did you learn from this degree of positioning? Did you learn from this degree of positioning? No, you are several layers down. So yes, you're going to have to go through it again. Ooh, with that, that's kind of like this indication that there's going to be a rehashing of things. These things, there's going to be rehashing. I don't know. Anyways. So Michael says that I have to like clarify so Michael says that I have to clarify I wasn't just having some sort of mental health moment here. He says I'm being like I'm all right. So I wasn't having a mental health moment here. It was more of like a distinct awareness that repairs were being initiated in a chord that exists in my auric space, and that gave me anxiety. And then I became overwhelmed with being allowed to feel like the effects and experiences that that I caused someone else to feel because of my chosen reactions and responses. And he's like, because I was about to say, I'm mean. And he's like, no, you're not. If I'm not mean, then what was that? If I'm not mean, then why would I need to feel that? Like, what am I needing to feel that to understand? What am I supposed to understand from that? And he's like, mean people would feel nothing feeling that. You're not mean, you're learning. You're learning why you need to be careful in your approach of certain topics. I was going to say sorry. And he says it doesn't require an apology. It just requires discussion to bring awareness. It takes responsibility. You have to hold yourself responsible for the ways in which you initiate and sustain cycles. Yeah, he said, you're not mean, you're learning. You have to banish the imaginations, these stories that you tell yourself about yourself to paint yourself in a not so good light. The sun needs to come out. It's getting darker and darker in the room. I can't open curtains any further. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm going to be in shadow for a bit. So you have to ground yourself. You have to really allow the roots to go very, very deep within your auric soils. The roots, the soil, you're rooted in this like very divine energetic union between souls. And that very divine energetic union, it's what keeps you secure. It's what keeps you secure. It's the very thing that keeps you secure. So, like thinking on tactical things, I was already, I was already like a while back. I was totally thinking like I'm really, really good long range. I'm really good at that. And my husband is really good at short range. And it's a perfect pairing in terms of home defense because I could just stay hidden and be long range. And he can, whatever gets through from long range, he will address. It's a perfect union. It's a perfect pairing. Being able to understand that we're not all supposed to be the same thing. We're all supposed to be who we are, not what other people tell us they need us to be. And in being who you are, you become more and more perfectly suited for whatever purpose you're going to fulfill. Whatever purpose you're going to fulfill, that's how you were created to function. Beyond tactical things, I've always been a long range type of person. Like I can follow strings of potentialities from any given decision and understand long term causations and effects. Sometimes we have to understand that people walk away so they can face you head on later on. So there's this circling back around and coming straight head on and being able to see each other as equals, being able to see what needs to be seen. There's prosperity and protection that are very much a part of this. Prosperity and protection. For some pairings, one must be publicly prosperous while the other quietly protects from the shadows. So card number 7, the Chariot, success that comes from dedication and self-discipline, celebrating your accomplishments, being in the spotlight. You're in their spotlight. This is someone who's just like super duper in love with you. You're in their spotlight. Celebrating your accomplishments. Not only are you in their spotlight, they're celebrating everything you achieve. Every hurdle you overcome, every achievement, every stage, every marker, everything. They're celebrating it silently. Okay? They're celebrating it silently and they're watching. They're watching. Ace of Summer. Open your heart to love, the beginning of a new intimate relationship or the rebirth of a current one. The awakening of psychic abilities or spiritual epiphanies. It's this thing of reaching higher levels of dimensional awareness of that consciousness that's leading to an activation of the second part of whatever this connectivity is. Um, I can't close my container. Sorry. Princess of Winter. Inquisitive, truthful, realistic, undiplomatic. Information that can help you, but which may also be difficult to hear. Tell me about it. Speaking the truth with kindness, an indigo child or adult. And I wonder if part of the issue was that it was a miscalculation or a misunderstanding, because you cannot approach an indigo, which I'm an indigo. I was born an indigo, certain type of indigo. You can't approach an indigo with this logic of domination and control. You cannot dictate to an indigo how to see, how to live, how to breathe. You just can't, unless you want a war. Unless you want a war. At which point, keep trying. Indigos are not afraid to lose anything. Indigos are not afraid of destruction. Indigos are not afraid of confrontation. Chris, it might be metaphoric. It might be metaphoric. It might be that your higher self is finally having you process how a part of you has died through this past, couple years of what you've been through and felt very alone in. It might not be a literal death. And I'm going to be honest, literal deaths are nothing compared to metaphoric spiritual ones. In a literal death, you're dead. That's it. You're out of body, and now you're free, and you're living in a different way, a different form, on a different dimensional level of consciousness. A metaphoric death, you're still here in this shit show of a world. And then you become a different person, and the world you live in doesn't give you permission to be that person. So the fight that you had before that metaphoric spiritual death has simply elevated and escalated what you're already in. A very difficult situation where you feel you have no support. Indigos are not afraid of survival or death. They're afraid of success. Makes it harder to hide. 3 of Spring. Plan your next steps with an eye to the long term. Have patience. There are more good things to come. Satisfaction from a job well done. Allowing yourself to be patient with yourself, knowing that whatever goodness is headed your way right now that you're aware of, there's much more of that on the horizon. That dark night of the soul. A new dawn is coming. You don't have to hide who you are anymore. And that statement doesn't carry with it the promise that because you stop hiding, people will accept you. It comes with a request to allow yourself to know, as long as you are who you are, it doesn't matter who accepts you or not. It no longer matters. It no longer matters. Just knowing that you're existing in your most authentic state and serving whatever purpose you're in this life to serve. I think that's most important. It's not about success. It's not about failure. It's about existence in the now, the present, gifting of yourself to yourself and anyone who can witness it. Just a moment of gifting. When you allow yourself to speak freely, more of your truth rises with the words that are spoken. People often ask me, Emmie, how come you don't do readings for any of the other signs anymore? Can you read for this sign or that sign? Why you only have love for Pisces? Because this is the Emmie Evolving channel. This is not the tarot reading channel or oracle card reading channel. This is a channel where Emmie allows herself to evolve right in front of you. And when you ask questions of me, like, do you only love Pisces right now? Yes. You want to ask hurtful questions? I'll give you the truth, which will hurt your feelings. Right now, I only have love for Pisces because I'm a Piscean. And as a Piscean who's only ever loved other people, it's time for us to fucking love ourselves with no shame or guilt. So unless you really want to hear the answers to the questions and are prepared to hurt your own feelings, don't ask me stupid shit like that. Right now, I only have love for the Pisces because guess what? The Pisceans are the empaths. They're the one that carries all of the other energies within their field. When I love on a Piscean, they spread that love to all the other signs. It's called efficiency, effectiveness, efficacy. In addition to that, at the root of it, at the core of it, this is about me finding myself and loving myself and allowing the words that come up as part of what the cards are focusing my thoughts on, not channeling other things, but just focusing this profound truth that's lived in me my whole life. And part of allowing those truths to escape word by word, sentence by sentence, card by card, live stream by live stream, I uncover more for myself. And that's what this is about, for me. But just because it's for me doesn't mean no one else can benefit right along with me. So please, stop asking me for things that benefit only you. There's no reason we can't all benefit together in this time. None. No reason. That's right. Efficiency. Like it, love it, write it down. And people might be like, ooh, that was rude. No, it was truth. It was truth. And I think part of what goes on is the world and the people within the world, they want the truth, but not the truth that's the actual truth, the truth that makes them feel better. Not going to happen here. It's not going to happen here. Because I'm incapable? No, because I refuse. Huge difference. Huge difference. It's not because I'm incapable, it's because I refuse. We have to allow ourselves the permission to refuse the things that no longer honor us. They don't honor us, they never did. And now we just are having such a hard time allowing ourselves to continue with the BS games that we play to make it easier for other people to accept us. And I don't care if you accept me. My journey has nothing to do with you accepting me. My journey has everything to do with finding the courage to just exist as I am. No distortions, no edits, no censorship. That is the truth of my journey and my channel. And I'm sure that's the truth of your journey as well. And you're simply in the process of uncovering that truth for yourself. Someone's trying to get you to notice something. What are they trying to get you to notice? The dreamer, embrace your true purpose. Begin a new adventure. Trust yourself. Oh, that. Wow. So for some, you're part of this journey where they're learning to trust themselves, where they're learning to trust themselves in your presence, where they're learning that, I don't know, I wonder if they told themselves this story that they weren't enough to be in your presence. And that was part of the distortion that caused further distortions. So in a previous live stream not long ago, there was someone who chose to be with someone else because that someone else was kind of illustrated as like a German shepherd that's extremely intelligent, extremely loyal, and will do as commanded. And then now it's just like, oh, turns out they're a lapdog guiding the person towards a tower moment. And I'm not accusing anyone or trying to talk shit. It's like, it's this developing awareness of the different potential stages of self-awareness, self-realization, self-actualization that someone might be in. Three of Summer, news worth celebrating, announcements such as weddings, graduations, or births, friends you cherish. And I see this card, and it's like they're trying to cleanse themselves of this thought that they continue to have about you. They're trying to cleanse themselves of this. They're trying to let go. They're trying to move forward. They're trying to listen to that lap puppy that's guiding them down the tower, the path to the tower. And they're like, that's a much more organized road, and yada 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 mean. A stream will never compare to the ocean. A stream will never compare to the ocean. Three of Winter, reach out to others for comfort and love. You will grow stronger from this situation. Sadness that will heal with time. Allowing that sadness to kind of just be what it is, feel it. You've got to move it, move it. You've got to move it, move it. You've got to move it. Okay. Hold up. One more card. One more card. I've waited 100 years. I'll wait 1,000,000 more for you. Nothing prepared me for what the privilege of being yours would do. Okay. Let me just get the card. Card number 22, the lion and the deer. The lion and the deer. When you enter the garden of the heart, you become fragrant like the rose. When you fly toward heaven, you become graceful like the angel. If you get burned like oil, you become brilliant. When you become thin like hair in yearning, your joy leads the way. You'll be in the kingdom. You'll be the kingdom and the king. You'll be paradise and the guardian angel. You'll be infidelity and you'll be faith. You'll be the lion and you'll be the deer. You are the lion and the deer. You are bold, fierce, and vibrant. And you are silent, sweet, and gentle. If I should come to you in arrogance, you roar at me until my falsehood quakes in fear. So terrified it gives up the game and love's conquest happens yet again. If I should come to you in surrendered adoration, open to whatever you may wish, you are so gentle with me. Like a deer, you offer me nothing to fear or resist, so that I too become sweet and gentle, longing to submit to your tender ministrations. So then I do not fear my own errors, for even if I stumble into arrogance, I shall be made wiser by your magnificent roar and become humble. Even if I become weak, I shall draw power, evoking the tenderness in you. Whatever is needed to keep me true to love is what you give me. For you are the holy lion, proud and mighty, and the sweet deer, gentle as the mildest breezes of spring. Hello, my old friend. Do you remember me? We are the oldest of friends, ancient soulmates we are, acquainted over many lifetimes past, and through many lessons learned together in the school of love. So here we meet again in this advanced spiritual training of the human experience, with the earth as our classroom. The moment is upon us to leave behind what we have once known and to open up to the great mystery of life again. Our souls leapt from the divine oneness through the river of forgetfulness and now dive into a body and a life. What a journey that leap begins. Let us embark on this studious adventure together. Let us honor the tiger and the lamb within each other, the lion and the deer. I can witness in you both the raging warrior who fights with unbreakable honor and the healer who brings together those things torn apart. Of course, are we not all things? Are we not human and angel, animal and spirit? Are we not heaven and earth? Are we not divine? And in being divine, being all things are divine. So we are here together in this school of love, not for the soul who still adheres to preference instead of curiosity, but for the soul who craves comfort instead of devotion. Oh, not for the soul who craves comfort instead of devotion to divine adventure. We must be like lovers, you and I, if we are to take these lessons. We must be willing to become mad with passion, crazy enough to chase the great beloved, even if it means forgetting who we are for a time to have the sacred delight of rediscovery, breaking some rules and looking like fools. Well, what could be greater than becoming a fool for love? That will do for us. That will do well. Let us be fools for love together. So shall we become study mates. We'll recognize each other even in all of our varied garbs, bright or somber, wild or gentle. We'll become the most enthusiastic students in the school of love, urging each other on to ever greater feats of passion and devotion. How we shall outdo each other in the grand gestures and our unwavering commitment. This oracle brings you a special message. You are rediscovering a part of yourself that has been lost or submerged underneath more practical concerns. Of course, if practicality is about survival, then learning to be your true self is most essential and practical. All other paths lead to death of the soul. You're asked to bear the chaos of this rediscovery. It may be that talents from this or other lifetimes are reawakened and cause you some discomfort at first, even though they will ultimately bring joy and greater fulfillment. The discomfort may be around how these talents are best expressed, about overcoming shame, guilt, doubt, or other judgments. It may even be about who you are, if you now admit your talent or other emerging personality traits. Perhaps what's being unearthed in you now is darker: your sacred rage, refusal to accept disrespect in your life, your inability to tolerate lies and deceptions. Well, then, you are the lion and the deer. That is nature. There is to be both in the world. You are not becoming contradictory or hypocritical. You're becoming whole. The guidance this oracle brings you is that you shall prosper most now if you're willing to unbecome what you have believed yourself to be. It was never really true anyway, that view. It was partial at best and just a view, an identity, not a genuine reality. Some of your previous sense of self shall likely come with this transition into the fuller experience of your being, and some of that previous identity shall be shed as far too limiting. It just won't feel true for you anymore. It never did. Any crisis or confusion that this brings you shall be temporary fuel to ignite the divine fires within. They simmer into life, cooking you from within, bringing all of your flavors, spicy and sweet, bitter and sour, into perfect balance so that your being, your presence, becomes an exquisite dish served up as a divine feast. You shall become nourishment for the world in perfect balance. Your being will hold all, for it holds all within it. It will deny nothing and become a tonic to feed every taste, every appetite, every hunger, and every deficiency. What an extraordinary, sublime meal you shall be. How your presence shall nourish the world. And it all begins with shedding the either and the or and recognizing instead the all. With such a wild permission for unconditional love, you shall thrive in your beingness and feed the hungry world with a meal complete, satisfying, and exquisite. Ooh. Ooh. This is about recognition of where you are. This is about recognition of your processes, recognition of so much. I think that maybe it's time for us to recognize people's rightful roles in our lives. For some, they serve as the impetus, the trigger, the catalyst for the reignition of your sacred flame. What better way to light a candle than with a candle that's already lit? And then comes the realization that oftentimes twin flames are not equally developed. One usually is well on the way to their development. Their candle is burning bright. The other, not so much. And this is a concept that I've been hesitantly exploring for quite a few years now. And every single time I explore it, it becomes that much more impossible for me to determine between me and the other part who was the one that was lit. And looking at the energies, have we both not been burned alive from the inside out? Even before we knew the other existed. Have we both not been burning from the inside out our entire lives, never really being accepted, never being understood, being so quietly hidden within ourselves, even with people who are supposed to be safe for us? And maybe there's nothing wrong with those people. Maybe it's just time to recognize the level of profound existence is the fire. And maybe in that burning experience, all we're really doing is becoming aware that we're having an experience. Because sometimes experiences simply require you recognizing it's an experience. It doesn't require a solution. It doesn't require a correction. It doesn't require a purpose or any of that. So maybe some of us are entering into the next part of that self-realization journey. And in order to enter that, we first must be shown the way, and that way sometimes is through another person's heart. Through the feeling that exists because of what they see, and maybe that's why they're watching you. Maybe that's why they watch. Because they have the ability to truly see you without all the pretense, all the masks, facades, falsities, fakery, cloaking. They just see all the way through. And maybe that's why they need to watch you. Because if you have a connectivity to that degree, it's hard to not be aware of the other person's experience. You know, the thing that interferes is when we try our hardest to interpret things through logic that's flawed. Most of us have very flawed logic, myself included. And the higher my level of understanding and acceptance of myself becomes, the more I realize how flawed even my most current, most recently updated logic is. Trying to shift your logic when you have no idea of what's in the room. It's like, I have this rule in my family. It doesn't matter where we are. You can't leave things laying in the pathway, the walkway. You can have your toys all over the couch. You can have it piled up in one corner out of the way, but you cannot leave all your toys scattered through the walk area. Why is that? Because we can never really predict a blackout. And I refuse to live my life in fear of darkness. I've made the preparations. I have flashlights in the house. And if I happen to not have a flashlight on me when the lights go out, do I have to live in fear? Or do I just have to make the conscious decision to make the preparations that will keep me safe, even as I'm blinded by life? Oftentimes, people will leave things where they lay. Why? Because you don't want to process, because this, because that, because all of these reasons. But the reality is, you don't really know why. You don't really know why you leave things where they are outside of avoidance. That's the real reason. You want to avoid it. But why? What about it are you trying to avoid? I don't know. Why are you trying to avoid it? I don't know. Do you need to know? Probably not. You just need to be ready to experience whatever it is you're experiencing. That's all you need. To be ready. Knowing that you're not going to have a blackout every single day. That when you do have a blackout, it's, you can make something of it. You can make it fun. You can make it fun. There's nothing in your life that can't be fun, even the shittiest parts. Even the shittiest parts. The parts that society tells you should not be fun, the parts that are ugly, the parts that are this. If you ask my children about the time in the RV, how many months, how many years we were in that RV, they refer to it as our adventure. Not because I told them that, but because that's what it was for them. This fun thing we did together. And we just explored and went to so many different places. And it's just a fun thing. They didn't have anyone there to tell them it was a sad thing. It was an embarrassing thing. It was a shameful thing. It was a failure type thing. Because it was none of those ugly things. Their assessment was accurate. Because the children actually see the truth. They see the truth. They see the truth. I came across I came across this post and it's a video. It cracked me up. So I want to preface this with letting y'all know I don't like politics at all. At all. I'm not left, right, or center. Fuck that whole bird. Defeather the fucking bird and bake it. We're hungry. So I have no political stance because I hate politics. It's bullshit to me. But I saw this video earlier, and the video was El Presidente Biden, and he comes out from behind a curtain. Hello. And all the kids are crying, like, they started crying. And I was like, oh my God, how sad. The children know. My children are not taught to like everyone. My children are encouraged to let me know if they feel uncomfortable around someone, and they're not going to be forced around that person. Because children know. Children know. They just know. They know the truth of things. They know. So listen to them. Allow your inner child to guard you and guide you. Yes, guard you. My children have been encouraged their entire lives to speak their truth. They cherish me beyond, just like I cherish them beyond. It's reciprocated. It's a type of unconditional, completely devoted, irrevocable type of love. Even as toddlers, if you speak to me in a disrespectful way, my most docile child will put you in your fucking place. I remember years ago, my child was like, I want to say about 2 years old. And he was walking past the kitchen, and me and my cousin were joking around. She's like my sister, literally grew up together, super close. And I said something under my breath, joking around with her. And so she yells, "You fucking bitch." We're joking. We're like cracking up. And my kid hears this. I think he was 2. He heard it. And he immediately stopped, turned around real quick, pointed right at her, and was like, "Don't talk to my mom like that." And we're both like, oh shit. I'm like, baby, auntie and I were just joking. This is his godmother. This is the person outside of me, is the next most important woman in his life. I was like, "Don't put my mama like that." That's so rude. And we're like, oh shit. And this is the cousin, the auntie, who's like, she's very strict, but she's also very loving. And kids don't talk to her that way. When she says, no, sit down, you're supposed to sit down. She's like the drill sergeant. And you know, she was like, oh my God, baby, I'm so sorry. We're just joking. I'm going to say sorry to your mom right now. I'm so sorry, mamas. I was cracking up. Like, see, he fucking told you. Don't you ever call his mama a bitch. Mm-hmm. Don't you ever call his mama a bitch. Children know. Your inner child protects you from people. It protects you. It guards you. When you feel like a defenseless child in someone's presence, that's your inner child telling you they are not safe. They are not safe. Learn yourself really well. A lot of the things that we're taught by spiritual people is bullshit. Bullshit. So I'll give you guys an example. Hold on. Y'all can't even see me no more. So what we are told is that when you have butterflies, that's your body telling you like, oh my God, this is good stuff. They're gonna be good for me and this and that. And what's the reality of that? What's the reality of that? Where are the butterflies? If it is your heart space and higher, those chakras are based in self-empowerment and love. That tells me, out of love, your soul wants you to experience something with another individual. That's probably safe for you to experience, not necessarily painless, but safe for you to experience. When you're experiencing butterflies from the belly down, where you would think it's love, right? The lower it is, the more your body is telling you it's going into survival mode. That's what it's telling you. And we have all these people like, oh, he give me these feelings down there. And I'm like, bitch. Even your vajayjay telling you, girl, run. Your kitty cat's telling you, like, no, we don't want to be their friend. But no, we don't know this because we think butterflies and tingles are spiritual connections. Did you know when someone tries to court into you in a malignant, malicious way, you'll experience tingling? You'll experience heart fluttering. Most people even experience this interpretation of it as though, oh my God, I'm like feeling, ooh, I'm going to fall in love with them. Like, pretty sure they're courting into you. Before people knew that I'm as sensitive and as aware as I am, way back when I still used to open my Facebook Messenger, I used to have these spiritual mails in my inbox. And it's like, bruh, just because I like your post about Sophia Pistos and the Pisces Vesica does not mean you slide into my DMs. Okay. That's not an invitation. I'm just liking the content that you are reposting. It's not your original content. Therefore, I'm not saying I like you. And they'll come in there and, I was still super de-duper. Like, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I don't want people to think I'm being mean. And so I wouldn't say that outright. And, motherfucker, I know you're trying to court into my shield. Do you feel that? Oh my God, I feel like a connection's developing. Yeah, no, I feel your etheric cord trying to touch my energy. Fuck out of here with your shit. Like, literally, fuck out of here with your shit. This is what people do. When they ask you for sympathy, when someone is malignant, not everyone is malignant that does this, but when someone is malignant, what is the most efficient way to gain access to the power of an empath and the power of a Piscean? Sob story. The sob story. Ask you to send love. How are you sending that love? Chords. When you say you're sending love to someone, you're courting into them. Unless you understand etheric structures, that's not talked about in pretty much any other esoteric text that I'm aware of, and I know of a lot. To date, I'm the only one that I've come across that remembers these structures. The AOK. Yeah. That allows for energetic distribution that has nothing to do with courting. that allows for non-specific induction, as well as hands-off direct port injection. So when someone sends me love, no thank you. I don't need prayers either. I need to take responsibility for my life and my actions, the causations that led to the effects. I get through everything in my life. Please don't send any of that to me. Why, Emmie? You need to let people help you, because it's not helping me. I'm actually not worried about you helping me. I'm worried that your cord that you're sending my way will be detected and trigger a twin response. That means the counterpart, that the energy, the essence that is always with me, my divine energetic counterpart, he's a fucking savage. It's a fucking savage. I can't control that energy. It will defend me. It will literally defend me. I don't even have to ask. I don't even have to feel afraid. It will defend me to that degree. Many people use cords without even realizing it. And the most malicious ones will use cords intentionally. Just because someone sounds sweet doesn't mean they actually are. And as a matter of fact, the most common type of sweetness is refined sugar, which is actually poison and addictive. Take accountability for your life. Allow the people who your soul is asking you to allow in. Allow yourself to observe them. Develop a connection, like a history with them before you start trusting people. Someone wants you to notice whatever it is they're doing. The feel that I get from all of these cards, this is someone who has been in love with you for a very long time. A very long time. My goes, don't roll your eyes. I roll my head along with it. Yeah. Someone who have a history with, and I'm almost wondering, was that history bad? Or was it just such an elevation in connective depth, connectivity, that something that wasn't so bad was it experienced such an intense, very profound, very pronounced way, you know? Can you guys hear me now? Somebody please tell this boy I love him. You see him in the streets. Not me, somebody. He's got tears in his eyes and the other half of me. Tears in his eyes and the other half of me. Okay. All I know is it's just going to get darker. So I need to find my lights. I hope you guys choose to join me later today. I think I'm coming live at like 5:30ish. No, 4:30ish. I think 4:30. 4:30 Caliphus time. Okay, California time. Sorry. So 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to be coming live to do a fire ceremony. I'm also going to be doing some other stuff. Energy work, readings. Today is a 1010 portal. Yes, for the 1010 portal. This is a very powerful portal because it sets the stage for the other two portals that are coming on 11/11 and 12/12. with a culmination of a third portal on 12/21. These are very, very powerful dates. Okay. I'm also going to have a couple swords, daggers ready. Okay. A couple of them ready for auction. Somewhere in the world, like a minute ago, it was 10:10. Now it's 11:11 somewhere else. In another minute, there's going to be 12:12. I love it. I love it. Okay. So yeah. No, it's not bad weather. It's just the sun has moved in positioning, and I'm at a part of the house where the sun doesn't really get in very well after we've put another canopy up. There's a canopy, and it was moved, and just a little bit, and so it blocks the sun. I didn't realize it would be this dark. It's gonna be okay. Okay. It's now 12:12. Let's leave with a song. Pour some sugar on me in the name of love. 222. We're gonna end it at 222.2. Okay, guys, get ready. Bye, everyone.